I do not like Rome 2 Total War, but if you do, then good for you. This is not a criticism of you, or why you should change your mind, or anything like that. This video is just me sharing my own opinions on the game, as many people have been asking me to do. So please do not dislike spam me. Please. Now I could talk for a while about all the different little details of things I like and I don't like, but I won't. In this video I want to point out just one thing, which has become a theme across some of the newer Total Wars, but it is worst in Rome 2, again in my opinion, and is something that I would like to see completely removed in the future. But of course, watch the video, and if you disagree, let me know and let me know why. For this video, I will compare Rome 2 Total War Rome with Rome 1 Total War Scipii, and we'll be talking about the First Punic War, the invasion of Sicily. Now, in Rome 1, you are already present there, but your forces are not strong enough to conquer the whole island. You know, this breakdown is for the average players. You have to recruit more men in Italy, so you recruit more men, and then you have to board them onto the ships. Then you have to send them to Sicily, giving time for Carthage to gather up a fleet and possibly counterattack, and then you unboard them into your territory. You have to think more and consider each individual step. In Rome 2, however, it's a little bit different. You can recruit as you move. You then don't really need any boats at all, because you can just walk across into Sicily, and then that's it. So what in Rome 1 was a series of several steps that generals would realistically have to go through, in Rome 2, it feels more like just one swoop. In Rome 1, you then gather your troops and put Syracuse under siege. Syracuse does have stone walls, meaning that you then have to wait and build siege equipment, giving time for the Greeks to possibly bring in some reinforcements if they have some nearby. Due to Rome 1's auto-resolve, this is a battle that you must fight, so again that's another stage. You then take the settlement, then you have to replenish your troops. For the troops that cannot be replenished, you have three choices. You either send them back to a city where they can get replenished, or hold them in the settlement, or you just push on with them anyway and go for Lilybaeum. You can, if you want, even build a fort as well, just here, with some troops, in case Carthage does try to counterattack here and hit you at Messana. That fort should just buy you enough time to break through and go for Lilybaeum. In Rome 2, you go down and you put Syracuse under siege, but then you can attack instantly, as you come with ladders, rendering walls useless on the campaign map. Due to Rome's auto-resolve, you can get an easy win, minimal losses, and then slowly auto-replenish. So then it just ends there. And then eventually you'll push in for Lilybaeum. Okay, I'm assuming you see the difference now. The entire flow is way faster in Rome 2, less realistic. What in Rome 1 is a series of small but essential objectives that are fun and historical has been transformed in Rome 2 into around 5 clicks of the mouse. Point 2 comes down to the end turn. The end turn is not really meant to be a passer of time, but rather for the AI to make their move. In Rome 1, whether your troops are out at sea, vulnerable to a naval battle, or besieging a settlement, vulnerable to reinforcements, the AI has a chance to become a threat. In Rome 2, however, you don't need to board ships. You just hop across. And you don't need to build siege equipment, you just hop in and you're done, cancelling any chance for any reinforcements to come in at all, or any ships to cut you off here. It works against you as well. If you control 3 settlements to the north, just below the Alps, in Rome 1, you only really need 1 army up here to defend it all. No matter where the enemy ends up hitting, they first have to besiege the settlement, spend time building siege equipment, buying you time to then step in and deal with the situation, no matter where they hit. So they could come in from this way, but then they've got to stop, build equipment, and then you can go in, hit and sort the problem. But in Rome 2, if you only have 1 army that is defending, let's say, Patavium, then the barbarians can come in, they can attack your settlement, because they start with ladders. They can get an easy win as your garrison is tiny and they probably come with a full stack. They then sack your settlement or exterminate it, and then they can pull out in that same time, becoming out of range of your own troops, where you can't really chase after them, so it's kind of pointless. Or what really then happens is, you end up losing a settlement. They can do all of that in 1 turn. Rome 2 feels like it was designed to be a real-time strategy game, not an end-turn game. A game like Total War needs that pause and that end turn for the AI to be able to react. I had the same issue in Napoleon. Again, sorry for the map, but if you are playing as the British and you have a massive fleet here, and let's say your zone of control is like this, that massive fleet means nothing, because if the French have 1 boat down here, let's say it's in a port, they can board an army in there, you can't do anything against this at all, but what they can do in the end turn is they can sail up here, they can go all the way around you, do a loop-de-loop around you, go here, drop off troops in Cornwall, and then they have an army here in Britain. This amount of movement does not work in a Total War game. Now it does in a real-time strategy game. Let's say this boat comes here, then, you know, the British can start to respond. The French might try to, weave around it, but, you know, it's real-time strategy. The British will catch up, they'll hit it, problem solved. I am not saying that Rome 1 is perfect. Far from it. Rome 1 would be a much better game if at first you had to, you know, get your units, but then when you board the ship cannot move, because it's boarding in troops. This allows time for a possible enemy fleet to come in, meaning that 1 ship alone cannot outsmart the world's largest navy. And then, you then have to sail down here. Alright, you start unloading your troops, but it should not be instant. For the unboarding phase, the troops should be held in limbo, part at sea, boarding off the ships, and part on the coast, boarding onto land, for at least 1 turn. Unboarding and reboarding troops into boats is meant to be a very vulnerable stage. Then, the enemies can attack you whilst you're on the coast, and they can fight a coastal battle, or they can come in with their ships and hit you like this still. This makes navies so much more important, and it also breaks down warfare into something that I think is much more fun and much more rewarding, but also historical and accurate at the same time. Historical accuracy is not everything, I 100% agree there, but this, in my opinion, does also improve the gameplay and the strategy, and it helps the AI, all at the same time. Oh yeah, and it also makes having a navy worthwhile, something that a lot of Total War titles have really struggled with. The end turn is meant to be the reaction for the AI, and your turn is meant to be the reaction for you against the AI. And that is one of many things that made the old Total War titles feel so great, but now, in the newer titles, they're focusing too much on speeding up the process. But all it's really doing, in my opinion, is turning a strategy end-turn game into a real-time strategy game, but it just simply does not work. The two are a very different style. But all it really does is turn an end-turn game, and a game that needs that end turn, into something closer to a real-time strategy game, which simply does not work. The first Punic War was a bloody war. Mostly a war of attrition, soldiers deployed in several locations to just try and force a peace, settlements falling and political intrigue everywhere. You really could create an 8-season long Game of Thrones series about this single war. And which one of these two titles portrays that best? Clearly, it's the mess that's happening over here. The style of Rome 1 is by far much better than Rome 2, and it's just not the first Punic War. It doesn't end there. It's a full global map-wide problem in Rome 2. But Rome 1 is far from perfect. That being said, it was limited by the engine of the time, so I don't know to what extent we can really accuse Rome 1 of not being perfect. Rome 2, however, once you get an army ready, you can complete the first Punic War in just 10 clicks of your mouse. Feel free to disagree, of course. I know many people will. But this is my opinion, and I am curious what people think. Do you agree or disagree? There's other issues I have with Rome 2, but I don't want to start making super long, in-depth videos and stuff. This is just a small focus point on something that is very close to my heart when it comes to this. I just wanted to touch upon this point here, the flow of the game, as I feel it is very important, from a historical point of view, from an AI point of view, and also from a gameplay point of view at the same time. And CA developers, I know you're watching this, every single one of you, obviously. Please do not take this the wrong way. This is, fair, honest criticism. At the end of the day, me and many people in the community, we just want to play Total War better and better every single year. We want to help you and we want to work with you. But please don't make this mistake again for any future historical title, unless you really think it fits the theme. And if any developers do watch this, feel free to argue your own points as well. Maybe I am wrong, maybe I've missed something obvious, of course. I have been MELKOR. Subscribe for more daily videos and leave a like also if you learnt something new or found it interesting. But for now, until the next one, goodbye.